What up, Prophet Leaders? Welcome back to my channel. That's Middleton Street. We're just taking a look at Dennis Street and the construction being done there, and what we want to do is walk along Lamaha Street. Now Middleton Street, so that's Middleton Street. We just took a look at Middleton Street. Middleton Street becomes Lamaha Street again once you get north of Station Street, Kitty, or by the train line intersection of the train line road and Train Line Road and Sandy Bab Street. But now we're going to walk along. This is Lamaha Street to show you in fact what is happening with the construction. So idea is that they were going to widen that street. That is, they're going to widen. Morning. They're widening this street, Lamaha Street, by building a retaining wall, and that retaining wall is going to come all the way along this canal that separates Lamaha Street from Kitty. Right on that side is Kitty, and on this side is Newtown, and we're walking on Lamaha Street. And the idea is to build a retaining wall all along the canal so that this street can be made wider and of course upgraded from what it is right now. It's under disrepair, but I'm showing you what is happening here on Lamaha Street in Georgetown between Kitty and Newtown, and what the plans are. So the plans are in fact to make this wider, to make it I guess build it up higher, make it smoother, and to extend it into the canal on the left side or the right side. That's this canal which separates Kitty from Newtown. As you can see, it's already flooding and the rainy season is not yet here. This entire street is going to become flooded once the rainy season arrives, and the reason is because they're now taking up the capacity, right? They're building a retaining wall into the middle of the canal and then filling it in with sand so that they can make this road wider, and the water, which is stagnant, has to go somewhere. That water ends up spilling onto the road. So that's what's happening here in Kitty, Newtown, because as they build that retaining wall and make the road wider, they're taking up the capacity of the canal and the water is overflowing into the neighborhood. Morning. But in fact, what is going to have to happen is they're going to have to make room for the water to go somewhere, right? They're going to have to build drains along with retaining walls. That again is Kitty, right? Newtown, opposite Newtown, that's Kitty. Remember that triangular strip of land I said is on the other side of the train line. This is what it looks like, and this is Newtown, which is also an older residential neighborhood, one of the more established residential neighborhoods in the city, on the south side of Lamaha Street. And the plan is of course to make this street wider, connected with Dennis Street, which is what Lamaha Street becomes. The name of Lamaha Street changes to Dennis Street once you go over Middleton Street. But this is what is happening as a result of the road construction, right? They've actually built a dam here on the canal and pumped the water out so that they could work on the expansion. But as a result of this, as a result of filling in the canal at this point and pumping the water out, you've caused some localized flooding Right, it's called some localized.
Distance 3 miles. Duration 54 minutes 10 seconds. Pace 30 minutes 41 seconds per mile. 465 kilocalories burned.
So that's it, guys. This is what's happening here. This is Newtown, Kitty. Newtown, on the other side is Kitty. And this is the section that they're currently working on Lamaha Street, making Lamaha Street wider. They've built a retaining wall, or they're continuing to build a retaining wall. But in order to build that retaining wall, they've actually had to drain the canal. And that is the result of the localized flooding that we've seen, right? It's looking back at where we've come from. That's the canal. And what they've done here is they're still working on building this retaining wall. All right, that's the Lamaha Embankment Park that they built. And this is the retaining wall that's being built in the middle of the canal between Kitty and Newtown. And we're walking on Lamaha Street. So they're going to make this street wider and higher when it's completed. But like somebody asked, what happens to the water? Shouldn't they be building, you know, a box drain or some kind of deep canal, cemented sides and bottom, to take the water, carry the water that will eventually run off the roads when it rains? And all of those remain to be seen. But this is what has happened so far. They've built part of a retaining wall, and they're continuing to develop this area by expanding the roads. Right, so that is what Kitty, the intersection, the boundary between Kitty and Newtown, will look like. This expanded road on Lamaha Street, right, continuous with Lamaha Street on the other side of Middleton Road and Irving Street. And on this side, we see that is Newtown. On the other side, that's Kitty and the park. So that's it, guys. That's what's happening in this neck of the woods. If you want to see more content like this, click like and subscribe. In the comments below, tell me what you think about these developments here in Kitty and Newtown, the widening or the expansion of Lamaha Street, and eventually, I guess, the building up of this road all the way through to Sheriff Street, where Lamaha Street becomes Dennis Street. Those of you who are familiar with this part of the city, used to live in this neck of the woods, tell me what you think about these developments, how